Alright, we're back, guys. So, something I kind of forgot to touch on, man, I'm doing that a lot, I'm sorry, is your different viewing options over here. We're going to go through that, and then I'll show you some pretty cool tricks you can do with this polygon. So, we're going to start over here. Boom, perspective, got it. And again, this guy will do the 3 orthogonals and the perspective. This guy here is pretty important, because this is called your outliner. This shows you everything that's inside of your scene. This is really important because if you have like 400 cubes in there, it's important to know which ones you're selecting. It's also important to change the name of your objects. This is something we're going to be looking at. Modeling dirty is a bad habit to get into. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to rename this guy from Polycube to, let's say, Super Fun Test Cube. Now, just know you can't put spaces there because it's always going to do an underscore, which is nice, actually. That's new. Before they used to just air it out. So if you want to do a space, just do an underscore. That's just a legacy thing that's never changed because everything in Maya is script driven, so everything is code, and I mean everything. So that's how we can adjust the name of that. You have this guy here, and this is your timeline editor, and we don't have to worry about that because we're not into animating it. This guy right here, this has your hypershade up here, which is awesome. This is your hypergraph, and this is showing relations between different things in your scene, parents, constraints, functions, things like that. And then you have your time editor down here as well. But for our purposes, for the first couple days, you guys will be using this 4x1. Now, by default, you do have this 4-panel layout. Just know that this is pretty easy to move. And the orthogonals here, you can't rotate in them. It just won't let you because they're orthogonal. This is your top view. It's always going to be your top view. Front view, it's always going to be your front view. Side view is always going to be your side view. You can switch these out, but by default, that's the way it is. You can zoom in still. We can pan around. All that good jazz. So say I wanted my top view to be bigger. All I have to do is hover over this panel and hit space. And we go right into it. If I want to get out of it, I just hit space again. And then I want to go into my perspective, hit space. And there I am. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. Also, kind of talked about 5 being your unshaded mode. If you hit 4, you go back into wireframe. 6 will go into lit mode. We don't have any textures, or this will show your textures off. We don't have any textures on it yet. And 7 is lighting mode. We don't have any lights, so it's going to appear to be black. This is a really cool trick we'll talk about later, but right now we're not going to worry about it. I'm just going to hit 5 again. 1 won't do much, or if anything. 2 will do a simulated smooth. Again, we'll get into the smoothing later, but you can still see your object as is, and then that gives you a smooth preview. Hit 3, it gives you a full smooth preview. Still not smoothed out. Here we go. Yeah, and 1 takes it back to the polycube, like the actual shape of it. So that's important to remember. Also, you can adjust all that stuff up here with these guys right here. That's your wireframe, that's your unlit. This guy is cool right here. Doesn't look like we're doing much, but what it does, it puts the wireframe over our actual object. I find this really useful when I'm trying to combine multiple objects together or do things like that. And the other one I use a lot is this guy, isolate selection. So let's say I take this guy and, get them in really tight, and I'm working on this guy, and this guy's getting in the way when I'm trying to work on it. What I can do is I can hit this isolate selection, and it's just him there. I didn't delete my other cube. My other cube's still there. And just click that again. Boom. And it comes back. So that is that. Some more navigation and viewing things I didn't show you earlier. So what I'm going to cover now is some of the things we can do with the components inside of this guy. So, you know what? I'm getting tired of looking at this weird shape thing. I'm just going to make another cube. And we have a cube. Okay. So say I wanted to have a face inside of this face. What you can do is we go up to Edit Mesh, and here's a little cool trick too. These little drop downs, you can tear these off. You have that little dotted line. Click that. And there it goes. You can hit Extrude, and what that does is it creates another face. So I can, and you get this little widget on this too. It's kind of a combination of all three of our rotate, our move, and our scale. So you have those options right there. I don't use this one too often. Every once in a while I will, but this goes off of the face itself, the face normal. And we'll get into that a little bit more in depth. It's a little bit more in depth about the actual object itself. But for our purposes, we can use this now, I guess. So we can pull this up and say I want another subdivision there. Now I have that. And I'll go back into select and say I want to extrude it again. I'm not going, whoa, somehow that got deleted. So I'm not going to go over here and do it. Instead, I'm going to use some faster shortcuts instead of having to go up to the menu and do that or whatever. If you hold down Shift, right mouse click, extrude face. There it is. Now I want to put a face inside of a face. So I'm just going to hit R and get the scale tool up. And then, boop. There we go. And say, I don't know, let's say I'm making a building here, and I wanted this building to have a little little stepping thing on it. So I'm going to extrude again. Now, what we can do here, instead of holding out Shift and right click and going to extrude here, or even going to the extrude button here, what we can do is, if it was the last command I did, I can actually hit the G key and it just does it again. I'm just going to pull this up. G, and I'll scale it in again. G, and I'll pull it up again. Alright, so I'm starting to get a building here. Killer. Okay. Now say I wanted a little step on the bottom here as well. So a couple ways we can do that. We could do a insert edge loop tool. So we can click that. And what we have to do is we have to drag on the edge, and we get this little dotted line, kind of gives us a preview where it's going to drop the edge. Boom. Now it's important to remember when you're doing this, the objects you're doing, or the faces you're doing it on, they have to be 4 sides.